What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Justin here. As always, guys, thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me today to talk about The Whale. I very much appreciate you guys clicking on this video. This is a movie that I've been anticipating for a very, very, very long time. I'm a huge fan of Darren Aronofsky. I find his work to be challenging. His movies aren't always very fun to watch, but they always stick with you. They're not the type of movies that you want to go out and rewatch over and over again, but they're so sticky. They just stick in your brain, and the imagery and the stories that are told in many of his movies just stick with you forever. They're very disturbing. They deal with a lot of very human issues, very human problems. His movies are based on a lot of misery, a lot of addiction and challenges and loss and pain and grief. And that's all explored again in The Whale. I think the first Darren Aronofsky movie that I saw probably was Requiem for a Dream. I also very much love Black Swan. I loved Mother. I know there wasn't a lot of people, I know a lot of people didn't care for Mother a lot. I thought it was an incredible film, an abstract, surrealistic nightmare that, again, just sticks with you. But he's done something different here with The Whale. Now, I am not at all a fan of a genre that I'll call, I don't know if I heard this somewhere, who originally coined this phrase, but I call it tragedy porn. Movies like Precious come to mind, or Room. But unlike those movies, The Whale does something different. It feels very human and it feels very real. In a movie like Precious, you watch a character get brutalized and punished, and it's quite frankly, it's a miserable, miserable experience without any silver lining. No light at the end of the tunnel. It's just pummeling, just being emotionally bashed for 2 hours, and then the movie just ends. I felt the same way about Room. Not The Room with Tommy Wiseau, but Room. What this movie does accomplish is, although it is brutal and it feels like punishment at times, at the end of the movie, you're left feeling hopeful and inspired. There is that light at the end of the tunnel. There is that silver lining there, that everything can be okay. To be kind to people. You don't know what anybody's dealing with. Just be kind to people. I struggle with that a lot. I struggle, everybody struggles with being caught up in their own problems. And you never know what's going on in somebody's life behind closed doors. Addiction can hit people in many, many different ways. Dealing with trauma or depression or alcoholism or drug abuse, you can't see that. The difference for Charlie, when you look at him, is you can see his addiction. With somebody who is that overweight, who looks like that, you can look at them and instantly judge them. You see their addiction. Stop eating. Stop doing that to yourself. Just stop. It doesn't work like that. The Whale does something different. This film is absolutely incredible. It's one of the most emotionally challenging movies I've seen in years. It's one of the most honest and brutal and intense movies I've watched in years. It'll probably be my favorite film of the entire year. Brendan Fraser was meant to play this role. I can't imagine any other actor portraying the role of Charlie in the movie The Whale. I can't imagine any other actor doing it. I've been long championing Brendan Fraser as one of my favorite actors. He's so versatile. If you go back to School Ties, you watch the drama, and of course it moves on to Encino Man and Bedazzled and some of the sillier stuff in his career, but the man was always he always gave his all into every role. You can tell he put everything into his movies, and for The Whale, I feel like his entire life built up to this moment to play Charlie. He embodies this character who is not bedridden, but damn close to being bedridden. He is home-ridden. He doesn't leave his house. He refuses to see doctors, and he's basically eating himself to death. This parallels many different addictions that all kinds of people have across many walks of life, whether it be drugs or alcohol or any substance that grabs a hold of you that you can't quit, or if you have things in your life, tragedies, loss, pain that is impossible for you to deal with, sometimes whatever dopamine rush you can get you abuse and you do it over and over again. I've talked about this a lot on the channel. I've done the same thing with alcohol before. I've been sober for 5 years now. But you punish yourself. Sometimes you feel you're not good enough for anybody. Why would anybody want to be with me? So I'm going to be angry at the world and just punish myself. And that's what Charlie does with food. I'm not going to go into spoilers because you just need to watch this movie. I rarely use the word important to talk about a film, but this film is important. Unlike films like Precious and Room, which very few people are ever going to experience those type of things in their lives, let alone that many things on top of one another, like in Precious. That's not realistic. It feels manipulative. It feels contrived. It just doesn't feel honest to me. Now, I don't mean any disrespect to people who have been through 100 tragedies in their life. I'm sure there is. But the thing about The Whale is this is sad, for lack of a better word. It's brutal. It's heartbreaking, but in a way that I think so many people will be able to relate to, whether you have addiction, whether you had a parent that left, whether you had somebody very close to you kill themselves or die or pass away. These are all very real things. Each character, there's only 4 characters in this entire movie, and every character is dealing with some sort of struggle that I think many people will relate to. And that's what I responded to. I responded to a lot in this movie. When I left the theater, I was in tears. Like, not just like tearing up a little bit. I was bawling. I was bawling thinking about this movie. I was going to shoot my review last night, but I honestly had trouble speaking. I was so overwhelmed with emotion watching this film, and I think everybody should see it. It's I've never seen a film quite like it. We've had some amazing films this year with Everything Everywhere All at Once, and this film, it's a great time for cinema, and you should watch this movie. I guess I should have gone over the plot of the movie, but Charlie plays a recluse in a house. He's an online instructor who he doesn't show his face to his students. His screen is blacked out. He lost somebody very close to him in his life. He has a nurse that comes by and takes care of him. And his time on this earth is coming very rapidly to a close, and he wants to reconnect with his daughter. So his daughter shows up, a brilliant performance by Sadie Sink. She comes and kind of over the period of a week tries to reconnect with him. She's incredibly mean and she's angry, as she has every right to be. He hasn't been in her life for a very long time. And this is their story of him desperately trying to reconnect with his daughter before his time is up. And this nurse character that takes care of him, she's amazing, and she's also connected to him through loss as well. This movie hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't think I've ever felt this emotional in a movie. I'm sure I have, but if I have, it's been years since I've experienced anything like this in a film, and I think it's an incredible film, and I think you should go watch it. So, sorry for the somber tone. Like I said, I couldn't even speak about this movie because I was so overwhelmed by emotion. So see it. Come here, Petey. Come here, buddy. See, my dog doesn't even want to come to me. Come here, Petey. He's so cold. It was -5 degrees in Kansas City today. So we're both freezing. Petey's freezing his little booties off too. But oh, you're so cold. He's shivering. I'm so sorry. We need to get your sweater. Go back to your heater. During the winter, Pete always just sticks right by that heater and he does not move. So guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for clicking on today's video. Check out my other videos. Check out my other channel, The Dead Couch. That's my collecting and physical media channel. Check that out. I got more things coming up. I have a podcast, which is why this setup is a little bit different. I recently filmed the first episode of the Movie Watch podcast. It's a temporary name while we figure it out. Me and my cousin. That'll be dropping very soon, the pilot episode. And I have other movies, other reviews and videos on the way too. So thanks for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Like with any addiction, you start drinking or smoking or eating food in this case to try to just get a little bit of relief, to get that little bit of dopamine, but it doesn't last. It never does. It only works, things like that, when you're addicted to something, it only works temporarily. So you have to keep doing it over and over and over again with increased frequency. And it just reminded me a lot of the days when I would, punish myself with alcohol, just drinking excessive amounts of alcohol over the period of several years, to the point where I was just slowly killing myself. And the same thing happens to Charlie, although his addiction is seen more outwardly. Sometimes you can't always tell if somebody's addicted to drugs or this or alcohol or that, but you can see his addiction. And that's what's sad about it. You can't look at somebody and tell what their addiction is always. But with Charlie, with an incredibly overweight person, you can see what his addiction is. And you wonder, why did he do that to himself? Just stop eating. Just stop eating. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. It's an addiction like anything else. You don't just snap your fingers and fix yourself. And that was Charlie's problem.